Today I'm going to show you how you can go from poor employee engagement to a massive 641% increase in just 6 months. First, I'll share the case study with you. This is from one of our clients, an Australian government department, who was experiencing poor employee engagement, particularly around professional development and performance discussions. And you can see here that after 6 months of using PentaQuest, they had a 641% increase in engagement. And that was comparing the 6 months after using PentaQuest to the 6 months before using PentaQuest, as validated by one of their internal business systems. And you can see the quote here from the Human Resources Director saying that PentaQuest is definitely more engaging to fill out than their old performance plan document. It makes staff think about what they're doing to develop and what they can do to progress activities. Here's another case study. This is from a private multinational company. The executives wanted to build a strong culture and have the strategy aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So we worked with them to help them break down this culture into behaviours and implement behavioural mechanics to nudge this behaviour. And you can see after 6 months, they had recorded 645 culturally aligned behaviours. Here the client was experiencing low engagement with learning and development, as well as poor collaboration across teams. After implementing PentaQuest, after just 2 months, they found a 140% increase in learning and development activities completed. And this was comparing divisions that weren't using PentaQuest with those that were. Okay, so before I go into the steps of how to use behavioural science to get increased engagement, I want to clarify who this video is for. So this is if you're an executive or a board member, you're needing to deliver on strategy and outcomes, but you're struggling to align culture, you're not quite sure what to do next. Or you're a human resource leader, you want to build a high-performing and a thriving organisation, but you're struggling with employee engagement. Or simply you've tried to implement a range of different initiatives and nothing's really quite hit the mark and you're looking for something else. Now, this is not your fault. The reason is that the way that we're taught to manage companies and people is outdated and it does not leverage the latest behavioural science. And this is backed up by research and evidence. So studies over the last 10 years, global workforce studies, show that less than 1/3 of employees are meaningfully engaged. And post-COVID, employee expectations and workplaces are shifting. And we found this from our research as well when we spoke with leaders all over Australia about how COVID has changed workplaces. There is now a greater expectation for flexibility, for being digitally connected, and for looking after your staff's health and well-being. So before we dive into the steps of how to increase employee engagement, just a quick background on our company. So if you don't know me, my name is Kirsten Oberpriller. I'm CEO and co-founder of PentaQuest. I've got a background in psychology and commerce, and I worked as a management consultant for almost a decade before starting PentaQuest. Now, I came across gamification in 2013 and it was like a light bulb went off. For me, it was finally a way to connect individual motivation with the organisation as an ecosystem. So I started using gamification on my colleagues and saw some really great results right away. And I had so many people walking past saying, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing. I need this for my team. Can you help me?" That we then realized we had a solution that was really desirable and effective for other companies as well. Along the way, I've also completed my PhD in workplace gamification. I've delivered a TED Talk and have spoken all over Australia, Singapore, the US, and Germany. PentaQuest as a company has worked with a whole range of different organisations, from multinationals like Amazon to government departments, educational institutions, and not-for-profits. And we've won a range of awards for our work. Our team is also stacked with loads of experience and PhDs. In my research and experience, I've found that executives and HR leaders make 5 mistakes when implementing change in their organisations. So in order to generate sustainable change in an organisation, the change needs to be broken down into simple, concrete employee behaviours. Too often, executives and leaders release a new strategy or a business plan, only to have it sit on the shelf and gather dust. It takes a lot of time and effort to develop these strategies, and it's a waste of resources if it doesn't get implemented and embedded properly. In fact, Harvard Business Review reported that close to 70% of strategies fail to be implemented. That is staggering. So the reason is that the strategy is difficult to translate into day-to-day behaviours. So for example, if the strategy says that the organisation is aiming to be more innovative or customer-centric, well, so what? What does that mean to an employee when they clock on in the morning? So the key is that the organisational change needs to be broken down into its behavioural components. And the question I like to ask is, if you were to point a camera at the organisational change, what would you see? The second mistake we see is that organisations don't translate the behaviour into personally relevant daily tasks. So take, for example, Fitbit, Apple Watch, or Garmin. So they encourage you to walk more by using game mechanics. Now, you could get sent a study that shows that walking 10,000 steps a day is important to stay healthy. But getting that information alone is not going to change your behaviour, is it? No. But put something in your daily life, like a wearable, something that prompts you with little nudges every day and celebrates when you make progress, and you're a lot more likely to walk more. And we know it works. So if you or someone you know has done a few laps around the living room at night just to get to the 10,000 step mark, you know exactly what I mean. And the same approach is needed in organisations. You need to turn your strategy into small, consistent and actionable behaviours in order to make it stick. Otherwise, you'll have wasted a lot of time and money coming up with a strategy that doesn't actually work. Jesse Schell said that anything that can be measured can be turned into a game. So once you've broken down the behaviour into daily bite-sized chunks, it's much easier to reward the behaviour. Now, when I say gamification, I'm not just talking about competition, and I'm not talking about playing Candy Crush at work, okay? I mean using game mechanics to give a sense of visual progress, to feel a sense of accomplishment, and to feel part of a team. The other thing about gamification is that you can tap into different motivations of different individuals. We know from research into psychology and human behaviour that humans are motivated by several drivers. So this framework here of 7 core motivations provides a useful model to understand where your organisation's underlying motivations are. So for example, we find that not-for-profits are often driven by a higher purpose. So change initiatives here should emphasise collective achievements and contribution to the mission. Other organisations are more driven by curiosity and a cognitive need to problem solve. So these types of employees like to be given challenges to work through. And other organisations that are high on the relatedness driver and connecting with people. So teams should be emphasised and stories about individual journeys should be shared. So you can see that you need to recognise and cater for the different engagement styles and preferences of your employees and your organisation in order to create meaningful engagement. And you can use this framework when you're designing behavioural change to ensure that you're using the right mechanisms for your unique group of people. So once you've broken down your change into behaviours, you've clearly outlined what this looks like on a daily basis, and you've even got some game mechanics in there to incentivise and reward behaviour. The next step is implementing. So the fourth mistake that we see is that organisations rely too heavily on people to make the change work, and this means that it becomes ad hoc. So while behavioural mechanics can be done analog, so for example, a scoreboard in the office or a bell that you ring every time a staff member makes a sale or whatever, the best way to implement a behavioural solution is digital. And there's several reasons why. So firstly, that you can scale it to all employees regardless of their location. And this is even more important in a post-COVID world than ever before. So a digital solution lets you reach your whole team regardless of when or where they are working. The other reason that digital is important is because that it gives you feedback instantly when you complete the behaviour. Now, this is actually really important from a psychology perspective. It's called operant conditioning, which means that the closer the stimulus is to the response, the stronger the association. I know it might sound simple, and we'd all probably like to think that we're more sophisticated than that, but the truth is that our brains are wired by reward and punishment. Think about it. If you did a new behaviour and you got congratulated for it months in the future, it probably won't mean very much. But if you do something now and get recognized for it in the moment, your neural pathways fire much more and you'll actually embody that new behavior much faster. And finally, having a digital platform means that it's repeatable and consistent across your organization. We hear all the time that there is much variability between how teams are managed, depending on the team leader and the manager. And this makes sense because humans are individualistic and team dynamics vary as well. But what a digital tool does is give you consistency and repeatability, which is really important for building a unified organization. And then finally, you can take this approach with any type of organizational change. So whether it be employee engagement, learning and development, performance, embedding a new strategy, compliance, health and safety, you name it. Because the way that we're wired as humans means that if you follow the steps that we've outlined, you can shift many, many different types of behavior. So to summarize what we've just talked through, to create an engaged and thriving organization, you need to break down the change into behaviors. These behaviors need to be small and daily and constant. What gets gamified gets done. So you need to add some mechanics and rewards into there. The implementation can be systemized, repeatable, and scalable when it's digital. And you can do this with any type of organizational change. So there's two ways you can do this. So your first option is to implement multiple separate initiatives. But this will likely fail because it doesn't connect strategy with culture and capability. It doesn't reinforce the behavior and the culture repeatedly, which is what it needs to create a habit. It doesn't tap into individual motivations, and it's a waste of time and money. Or your second option is to work with PentaQuest to leverage the leading edge research and decades of experience. So you can implement a behavioral science-backed mechanics. You can connect various initiatives into a single, cohesive and engaging way. You can build culture, align strategy and grow capability. And you can get results in as little as 30 days. So again, just a reminder who this video is for. It's for executive and board members needing to deliver on strategic outcomes and connect with culture. And it's for human resource directors and leaders who are wanting to build a high-performing and thriving organization. I want to share just quickly a few more case studies with you. This is for a not-for-profit that was looking to culturally align behaviours. So they were experiencing poor communication. They were in quite a high pressure industry. So their staff were feeling quite stressed and not feeling valued because the staff didn't feel like they had enough time to work on engaging the staff and building the team. After using PentaQuest, they had recorded 559 new behaviours. And these included sharing client highlights. And this was really important for the team because they were connecting in back with why they were in this industry and with this organization to begin with. So they were really connecting in with their initial motivation for working here. The information communicated went through the roof. They shared ideas on how they could work more efficiently in this sort of environment that had less resources. And they were giving peer recognition to each other. Now, this team was experiencing a lack of cohesion. So they weren't really communicating, particularly not around the team objectives. There was a lack of promotion of their work with the rest of the organization. And generally, they just didn't really feel like much of a team. In just 3 months, they experienced a 12.5% increase in workplace satisfaction. And the staff achieved more of their project goals in these 3 months of using PentaQuest than the 9 months before. They also experienced increased engagement, positive team interactions, communication, focus, and much more. And you can see the quote from the team leader here who said, "This was a really good touchstone, something we connect with each week, a really good vehicle to see where people are going and if people need extra support." And the final case study I'd like to share with you today is from a multinational company that was experiencing poor engagement and lack of engagement with professional development that they really needed to keep their skills current. So the manager felt like he'd tried everything to encourage staff to engage in continuous development, including putting time into their diaries. So he said, once he saw PentaQuest, I knew we had to work together. The platform can be fully customized and we took full advantage of that. And you can see that just within 3 months, they experienced a 55% increase in engagement. Their staff had increased skills and productivity. They found it personally relevant and meaningful. And actually this work together has been nominated for an award as well. And you can see some of the other quotes from users there as well. Here are some of the other things that teams and managers say about the platform. They love the way it stimulated collaboration and discussion. It gives our meetings more focus, makes what we're achieving more visible. For managers as well, that managers are more conscious of providing feedback and encouraging staff and supporting staff in their development. It's a great way to make us accountable and it helps people bond. Quotes from staff as well, it's more engaging than the regular performance plan documents. It's an excellent motivation. It's easy having everything in one location. It's easy being able to navigate around. It's simple yet rewarding, and it's a useful way to motivate us to do work. So just to summarize some of the benefits, by using this approach, you can achieve your strategic objectives. You can align culture with strategy. You can ensure your organization is ready for the future by building the right capability and having a tool that helps you engage and respond regardless of when and where your team is working. You can build the organization by developing and supporting the managers. You can take a strategic and systematic approach to managing your people, and you can increase employee engagement, performance, and well-being. So the final section of this video, I just want to briefly talk you through how it works and talk you through some of the key features. So when you take a behavioural science-backed approach to implementing a change initiative, the first step is understanding your unique culture and people. So we work closely with you by mapping the motivations and drivers of your team and understanding which mechanics would work best. Then we customize and we tailor those together depending on where your desired future state is. So we're wanting to make sure that all the behaviours are aggregating towards your strategic outcomes. The behavioural change tool is then implemented, and then we provide you with real-time data. So at any given point, you know exactly where your organisation is at, how engaged your employees are feeling, and what type of behaviours are being engaged in. So now I'll quickly talk you through the key features. So before, setting and tracking performance goals was done, once every 6 months in a formal setting with a tick and a flick process between manager and staff. And this is quite common, but it actually leads to an unproductive conversation. It's stressful, and often the goals get forgotten if you only meet every 6 months. With PentaQuest, you can set and track your goals and share them with your manager so that you can both see the process and progress regularly. So there's loads of features in the goals, including due dates, priorities, adding resources, to-dos, comments, templates, and much more. You can invite other people to your goals, like managers, mentors, and colleagues. And so now there's no more forgetting about what goals you've set, and the performance conversations are based on live and current data. Goals can also be set at the team level, with tasks assigned to different team members. It's so quick and easy to set up a goal and keep it front and center as you go about your daily work. So before, when you wanted to recognize a high-performing staff member, you would have relied on informal praise and perhaps hard incentives like bonuses. But now you can define what high performance looks like and reward staff systematically for a whole range of activities that align with your culture and strategy. As an administrator, you are in complete control of defining the behaviors and activities. And it takes less than 10 seconds to create a new activity in the platform. Now, we know from our research and experience that increasing manager capability is a core focus for organizations. In the PentaQuest platform, you can set activities specifically for managers. So this gives you a great tool to encourage them to grow their skills and support them in managing their staff. Managers also have a portal where they can set and define activities, resources, rewards for their team and give them the tools they need to manage their team better. So because every team is different, you can give managers the autonomy to also incentivize and reward behaviors for their team. And just like activities for all staff, It's quick and easy to set up manager tasks. So to create a task just for managers, it's as quick and easy as ticking a box. Getting the whole organisation to work together on something used to be hard. Normally the boss would send out an email about a new initiative, or HR would send follow-up emails and mention it in meetings. But this leads to people feeling like they're being patronised and that the task is a chore. With PentaQuest, monthly challenges let you communicate and reward the completion of a key task across the whole organisation. This can be anything you set, whether it's engaging in the annual performance process, diversity and inclusion, well-being month, you name it. The monthly challenge is a really good way to build in fun as well as a sense of time urgency to complete a task, and it gives you a way to reward and track completion. And again, it takes less than 30 seconds to set up a new challenge and have the whole organisation engage with it. And the best thing is that you can create them as you need and respond quickly to evolving business priorities as they come up. Now, rewards are one of the features that you can turn on and off in the platform. And the important thing about rewards is that rewarding and celebrating effort and achievement is not just about salary, but it's also about giving people a choice for how they want to be recognised. In the PentaQuest platform, you can choose to set up redeemable rewards to staff. So staff can select from a range of rewards and opportunities that reinforce the values and culture you're building. Now, over the years, we've found that having a range of rewards is important because some people are really motivated by that free coffee or book voucher, and others really value a lunch with the boss or a development opportunity. So variety is key. And again, as an administrator, you can define what these rewards are. So they can be monetary or non-monetary. You can add a picture or a GIF. You can set the redeemable amount needed, and you can also limit the amount of rewards available. So now you have a way to recognize people with small rewards along the way and give them constant reinforcement. Embedding cultural values is notoriously difficult, and the way most organizations try to do it is by putting the values up on a wall in the office. But now you have a way to make your values a key part of how staff interact with each other. So this is what we call a congrata. It's a token of appreciation that staff can give to each other. Again, it takes less than 10 seconds to set one up, and you can define the title, the description, and the icon that represents this value. So staff can say thank you and show appreciation for each other based on these values. So how it works is that anyone can give anyone else in the organisation a congrata with a limit of 5 per week. So that adds a bit of value and scarcity to them. And the congratas a person has received are displayed on their profile page, and they receive an email that says, congratulations, you've gotten a congrata from this person for this reason. Now, again, it might sound quite simple, but we found that this is a really popular feature and a really nice way to add in that peer-to-peer recognition and that intrinsic motivation. And again, to have the cultural values present in everyday working life. So we know getting data on people can be hard. Sure, there's your annual engagement surveys, and some organizations use other measures as well. But if I were to ask you how many performance conversations were being had in your organization this week, would you know? Or if I ask how many staff are actively working on their goals? How many are working on cross-team projects? Well, the admin portal gives you all of that data at your fingertips plus more. So admins can download a detailed report and see live engagement data. So this gives you additional insights about your organization and gives you the information you need to adjust and tweak your behavioral mechanics based on the live data. So that's it. Thank you for your time and attention today. I trust you found those 5 steps useful and that you gained some insight from the case studies and the features that I've talked you through today. If you're interested to learn more, book in for a call with us and we can see how we can work together. Thank you.